Hello everyone, welcome back. In this video, we are going to start the introduction of new type of function, which is called quadratic function. In this lesson, we are going to go over all the key terms we need to know about this function and about its graph. So let's get started. On this handout, we are going to look at a word bank here, all the vocabularies in the box here. We are going to use them to fill out the blanks, and also we are going to use this chance to practice how these terms are defined and what does that mean on their graph. So let's get started. The first one, standard form of quadratic function is, the answer is actually ax squared plus bx plus c. So just like when we deal with the linear function, this is a slope-intercept form. For the quadratic function, we also have different forms. The first one we need to understand is standard form. We list all the terms out from the square, then x, then the terms here. And some students might have question regarding a and b. A and b are coefficient. A is coefficient of x squared, B is coefficient of x, they're just numbers in front of variables, and C here is a constant term. So next question. The shape of a quadratic equation is called parabola. So just like when you throw the basketball, when you shoot the basketball in the basket, it looks like the trace of the ball look like this, right? So this, or sometimes we are looking at a situation like this, they are all called parabola. Next, let's check this graph here. So number 3 asking us, what's the name of this vertical line here, the red line here, which is axis of symmetry. I just write down here so it's easy for you to label it. So axis symmetry, as you can see, if we fold the blue graph according to this line, it will match to each other. So that's why we called axis of symmetry. And next, this one is asking us, what's the name of this little point here? This is called vertex. So one thing I want to remind you is for the axis of symmetry, it is a vertical line here. So this line has an equation. How do we write the equation? This equation is always x equal to something. So how do we write it? We just look at where the line intersects as x-axis, which is located -2. So x is -2. This is the equation for the axis of symmetry. And for the vertex, it is a point. Since it is a point, so we do need to write down the coordinates for this point. Let's rate it as to the left 2 and go down 2. So this point is -2, -2. So as you can see, it's a point, we write down the coordinates, and for the axis symmetry is a vertical line. That's how we write the equation for that. Some students easy to get mistake like just write down -2, which is not, because it's line, so you need to write down x equal -2. Next. When the vertex is the highest point on the graph, look like this way, then we call this maximum. And accordingly, if they are looking at the lowest point, it's like where you are riding the roller coaster. You go to the very bottom point here, we call minimum, because that is the lowest value for the function. The point where the graph of function intersects the x-axis is called x-intercepts. And then the solution of the quadratic equation is called zeros or roots. I want to spend more time on this 2 points here. So let's go back to check this graph here. As you can see, this graph intersects x-axis at this point. So they are x-intercepts. And also, since we're solving equation here, this equation is actually we're looking at, ax squared plus bx plus c equal to 0. So meaning, whatever the x value here is going to make the y as 0. So where on the graph? They're actually here. So that's why these two, instead of called x-intercepts, they are also called zeros in terms of function, in terms of equation. And also, we also call them roots. And sometimes we can also just call them solutions to the equation. So every single thing here, they're actually equivalent. The x-intercept is x value, But at the same time, we know the y-coordinate is 0. So that's why in terms of the quadratic equation, we call them zeros. We also call them roots. We also call the solutions to the equation. They are all the same thing. Now let's look at the last two questions here. Based on your understanding of the term list above, how we fill out the blank here. So the first one, as you can see, we're looking at the lowest point here. We do have a name for that, which is called vertex. But compared to two differences here, so this one is actually looking at the minimum, meaning we are looking at the lowest value of the y. So, and also as you can see, when this is open upward, we actually look at the minimum here, right? So same thing here, this is clearly is open downward, so this two arrow is down, and we're looking at the highest point of the graph, so that's why we call this maximum. So, and also, let's go back to find the maximum here, or minimum. So I just want to, address one more point here. So when we describe the maximum or minimum, as you can see for this graph, we are actually looking at the minimum, right? Because this is open upward. So meaning we have the lowest point. So this is minimum. And sometimes we'll address one more thing is, what is the minimum value? So minimum value or maximum value is actually asking us, what is the y value for this situation? As you can see here, the y is -2, so that's why is like that. And some students might wonder why it's not x, because as you can see, the graph here, they can reach the lowest point. And the lowest point located on as y equal to -2. That meaning that's the minimum value of y can reach to. So that's why we call y equal -2. There's no situation we need to address x here. However, we do need know when x equal -2, for this situation, the y is -2, that's just the coordinates for the vertex. That's why we look at the vertex to determine it's going to be maximum, minimum, but we're looking at the y value to check what is the value for that situation. Okay, that's how I want to share with you for all the terms. Soon in the future, we are going to go over more terms in this one. So please stay tuned to check more videos very soon. See you soon, everyone.